The season has started. Opening day was incredible. Scotty Braun, Todd Frazier, Danny Graves in Cincinnati. Erik Kratz from parts unknown, but that was fun yesterday. That was my first opening day experience in Cincinnati. I did some radio appearances this morning, and I was their best promoter. I'm like, hey, opening days, I've been to many of them. They're good. This is holiday, pomp and circumstance, parade. Almost has an all-star game vibe to it.
Yeah, I mean, you know about all-star games. Right? I know about all-star for sure. No, it was definitely a beautiful thing. Again, one of the best places to come for opening day. It's fantastic. Too bad the ninth inning came. That was unfortunate. But again, the crowd was still bumping afterwards. And it's exciting times here in the Queen City. Don't worry about one game and focus on the whole rest of the year.
Yeah, this is a special day, opening day in Cincinnati every year. I really feel like we've talked about it yesterday. It should be a national holiday, but it certainly should be a holiday here in Cincinnati for everybody. But yeah, even after the tough loss, the crowd was still going nuts. The streets were still packed, and I had to go to bed early or try to go to bed early because I couldn't walk around.
They understood that it is just one game.
Yeah.
Because not everybody does, which we'll get into in just a moment. But also, this will be our last show from Cincinnati, and it is our first show of a new era, the 1 o'clock Eastern era for the rest of the year. So every show, the rest of the year, weekdays for the most part, will be 1 o'clock Eastern time. We're back at our normal time. Thanks to Nation Kitchen and Bar at the Banks for hosting us, feeding us. Great specials this week, too. Shouting them out. This is our last show here. There you can see some of the specials. So if you're here the next few hours and want to swing by and watch the show, go for it. Thank you for the T-shirt, too. I got a little Nation representation going on right here. Yes, exactly. And lastly, before we get into overreactions and underreactions from opening day, Kratz, let's shout out the FT Network. We'll look at some of the 15 total shows that are under the FT Network. We don't need you to name them all, but if you want to shout out maybe one or two. Ooh, this is nice. I like this graphic.
Our guy Derek with Pinstripe Territory. Obviously, right down the street, we got Philly's show, Metsed Up. There might be just anarchy on the Metsed Up show right now. They're 0-1. Juan Soto was supposed to make them 162-0. And Austin Wells have cheap home run in Yankee Stadium. Metsed Up is so pissed.
You know who else is very ticked off? Hammer Territory. I listened to about 3/4 of the episode this morning. They were freaking out. We'll get into that later, but let's dive into overreactions and maybe underreactions.
Charging the mound.
Let's charge Todd Father. What do you think was the least big deal from yesterday that had some people worked up?
Well, I mean, it coincides with both of them here. I'm talking about the New York Mets. They're going to win games, guys. They're going to score runs. Understand that. The focus is over a long haul. We know Juan Soto is going to be really good as well. So pump the brakes there. The Mets are going to be a pretty good team. The Astros just brought it. Framber Valdez had a really good game. We didn't know which Framber we're going to get. And understand they're going to be really good. So relax, Queen City. Or Queens. It's Queens, excuse me. I'm in the Queen City. Relax, New York Mets fans, and understand they will be good. Focus on what you can control, and that's tomorrow's day, meaning today. Go get them today.
Okay. Danny, do you have an overreaction?
I do. So I know we just talked about the Reds bullpen kind of giving it up yesterday. And the overreaction for me is people are saying it's just game one of 162. That is absolutely correct. But that still doesn't fix the bullpen for the Reds. So that's why I think it's an overreaction. Everybody's like, oh, they'll be okay. Well, the team will be okay, but that doesn't mean that they're going to win unless they fix the bullpen somehow. And whether they have somebody else as a closer, trade for a closer. I know it's still early.
He's just hurt.
Yeah, but he's also got some not just physical issues. I think it's confidence issues when he's out there, and that's what's a big deal. So when he comes back, or whenever he comes back, they got to do something in the meantime.
Yeah, so Alexis Diaz hopefully will be back in maybe a week or two-ish. I don't know the exact timeline, but yesterday, Hunter Green was a strikeout machine for Cincinnati in their 6-4 loss to the Giants. punched out 8 in his 5 innings. I mean, he did his job, right? He
Yeah,
put them in position
absolutely.
to win. Scott Barlow, 1 scoreless inning. Emilio Pagan, 1 scoreless inning. And all these guys I'm listing to had a couple punch outs. Tony Sentian, also with 2 strikeouts in his scoreless inning. And the problem was Ian Jabot, who ended up being charged with 4 total earned runs, including the 3-run home run to Wilmer Flores. And then Sam Moll came in to clean things up. Where was Rogers?
Good question.
That's a really good question.
They spent a lot of money on him this offseason.
And he's got 80
Taylor
plus
Rogers.
career saves, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't. Maybe there was something physically wrong with them.
Something that we might not know about. I mean, or maybe Tito's like, let me give this guy a chance. Yeah, he got the first out in the 9th, and they're like, cruising, and then what was it? A walk.
A walk started it, yeah.
And then a single to right, first and third, another single, and then the big one by Wilmer. Wilmer Flores has been doing this for a long time. I've seen it firsthand. That's one guy you don't want to see up in the 9th inning for sure. He's probably got 7 or 8 game winners. Put him on base and see what you can do after that.
I think I saw it was 7.
Yeah,
That's
I've
insane.
seen probably 5 of them, which was pretty cool. But again, it is what it is. The Reds are going to be okay. The Giants are going to be okay, but that's a good start for San Francisco coming here to the Cincinnati and taking care of business.
Those 2 teams made a trade this offseason, and Taylor Rogers is a pretty expensive reliever. He's making $12 million. The Giants picked up a little bit of the money, but Cincinnati's taking on a good chunk of it. You would think Kratz, that's the guy, right? How does he not pitch on opening day?
Not his lane. There's a lot of bullpen questions of how teams use certain guys. That was kind of my overreaction, but maybe it's not his lane. Maybe the Reds don't view him as the guy that should have stepped in when they were at that spot in the lineup. I don't know. It's perplexing to me.
Okay. Let's keep running through overreactions. We're going to get help from fans on socials. So we did some digging on social media and found fans losing their mind. Let's start with the team that I think is going to win it all, the Arizona Diamondbacks. I watched almost that entire game. I was back and forth between that and the A's and the Mariners. They fall to the Cubs 10-6 last night. And one fan said, I'm officially done with the Diamondbacks. This is unacceptable.
He must be from New York.
Right. He retired out there.
Yeah.
Done with the Diamondbacks after one game. Kratz, that's harsh.
That's fine. There's a lot of other teams that you can cheer on. I mean, go be a Dodgers fan if you're done with what I think is a top 5 team in all of baseball, not just the National League. So, hey, if you're done, go be a Dodgers fan, or actually just go north. Go north up into the Rockies and be a Rockies fan if you're done with the Diamondback.
Right. If you want to really get ticked off, then there's a team in your division. So anyway, next up, this fan, Laker guy, so out in LA area, says Ron Washington got to go. That was embarrassing in so many ways. One game into the season. It is the second year for Ron Washington running the Angels, and they did get embarrassed, Podfather, by Chicago. The White Sox pick up an 8-1 dub. The Angels have a position player pitching in game 1 of the season. That's never good.
I listen. The Angels make all these acquisitions off season. You and I, we're all talking. We're like, well, at least they're doing something. And then they go out here. I mean, it's not a goose egg, but pretty much a goose egg out there. And you're like, what the heck is going on here? We thought they would be just an okay team, and they come out, and all of a sudden, we're like, one game. We know it's one game, but giving up 8 runs to the White Sox. Wow. That's not a good sign to start the year.
Well, I think Laker guy should be worried about more what the Lakers did last night.
Oh, that's
blowing
true
it
too.
against the Bulls. I wonder what he said about them.
Yeah, he's in trouble both ways.
He was trying to get away.
Double dip.
Why should Ron Washington go? Did Ron Washington score 0 runs through the first 25 outs of the game? They were losing 3-1. Kikuchi, he did fine. Ron Washington ain't the hitting coach. Beat it, hitting coach. If you're firing people, relax. They're going to come out today and win and beat the White Sox, so you'll be fine.
Oh, yeah? You think they'll recover and win this series?
Yeah.
Okay.
We know where he's going today.
Yeah.
That's not where I'm going.
There's an Orioles Blue Jays series going on. Let's table that part of the discussion. We'll step aside because we're going to talk through it right now with Steve Melewski coming up. Covers the Orioles and has joined us before, giving us some good analysis, obviously, on a team that absolutely pounded opening day Toronto Blue Jays pitching. Be right back.
Your hair is so much more than what you see when you look in the mirror. With Nutrafol's science-backed whole-body approach, nourish growth from within and achieve your best hair yet.
Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist-recommended hair growth supplement brand, trusted by over 1.5 million people. See thicker, stronger, faster-growing hair with less shedding in just 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol.
Physician formulated with 100% drug-free ingredients, Nutrafol supports healthy hair growth from within by targeting key root causes of thinning like stress, hormones, and aging through whole body health.
Start your hair growth journey with Nutrafol for a limited time. Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code FOUL. Find out why over 4,500 healthcare professionals and stylists recommend Nutrafol for healthier hair. Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code FOUL. That's Nutrafol.com, promo code FOUL. All right, we're back for a couple minutes, and then we'll get to Steve Melewski about the Orioles and the Blue Jays. Kratz, the biggest L from yesterday, the MLB.TV app and games, outages early on. They were running the wrong intro for one of the games. Then for me, late night, this didn't get a lot of coverage, but I'm a diehard. I'm on that thing every day, just about, right? I'm watching games either on there or on one of the apps that has games for whatever particular team I'm looking for. And what happens? Every 10 minutes, it just scrolls you back to the beginning of the game automatically.
Oh, no.
I'm like, really? I got to switch and go back to live every 10 minutes? So perfectly put together meme here by our fearless Twitter leader, Michael, behind the scenes.
They had how long to get this right? I mean,
Snuck up on
there's
them.
only one
Snuck
opening.
up on them.
Yeah, that's true. You only have one opening day, man. So if I'm a fan, I'm frustrated, and understandably, you got to be able to fix this and get after it here on opening day. That's tough.
That's unacceptable.
Yeah.
That should have had some people tweeting about that or Xing about that. Like,
There were tons.
yeah.
It took over for the first hour or so of opening day. That was the problem. And they want to run Kratz all of the teams. So I think they have 5 maybe. I'm like, let's hold our horses here. You can't cut employees and then add teams.
It's bad. But they already got their yearly subscription, so they don't care, and they showed the fans they don't care.
Here we go. Steve Melewski is back with us, covering the Orioles all year long. You can check out his Substack, steveonbaseball.substack.com. Steve, happy second day of the season to you. And I'm sure Orioles fans were lit with excitement as they pounded Blue Jays pitching. So good to see you. And what'd you think of day one for Baltimore in 2025?
Could not have gone much better for the Orioles, that's for sure. And I think what it showed is, and Brandon Hyde said this after the game, I mean, this is what our lineup could be. And he doesn't mean they're going to score 10 runs or hit 6 home runs every night, but it's a deep lineup. And I mean, yesterday, even in scoring 12 runs and hitting 6 home runs, the number 8 and 9 hitters in the lineup got combined 1 hit, and Gunnar Henderson wasn't on the roster. So, I mean, it was an exciting start for the Orioles. Last year, when they had the second best homer hitting team in baseball, they never hit 6 in a game. They hit 5 once and 4 8 times. So what a great start. Just showing the power they have. Adley's improvement in March obviously came through. Cedric Mullins hit 130 in March, showing us for a veteran, the March stats aren't important. He comes out and hits 2 homers. So a great start for Baltimore.
I want to go to one guy, Adley Rutschman. He looked like a man on a mission yesterday. Incredible outing. He looked like that swing is back. He looks like, listen, he didn't have the best of years last year, but this is going to be his year. It was exciting to see him talk a little bit about, their fearless leader on the team.
I mean, incredible start for Rutschman. And the thing that he's been doing so well all spring training, you guys, is using the whole field. And he showed that yesterday. He took a single to left. He turned on a pitch to right. I think one thing I want to see him do more of this year, and I don't know whether he will or not, is attack the first pitch, because he takes the first pitch as much as any player in baseball. And I think there are some pitchers in the game who look at that chance to go 0-1 on this guy, and he's going to have to start ambushing some of those. But right now, who am I to tell him what to do? The guy's been raking since the first day he showed up in Sarasota. So right now, he looks like the 800 OPS Adley, not the low 700 version that finished last year.
Speaking of raking, what is up with Tyler O'Neill on opening day? 6 straight opening days with homers.
It's outrageous. When he did it last year, he set a major league record. No one had ever done it 5 straight opening days. So he already was the major league record holder, and he just extended it. But there's a look at the power he has. I mean, when you can hit it out to the oppo field, that's true power. He's got that. I mean, last year, his numbers against left-handed pitchers were incredible. 1,000 OPS, was among the best in baseball. And here he is off a right-hander. I mean, they want to get Heston Kjerstad 400 at-bats this year if they can, and he couldn't get in the lineup yesterday because you got O'Hearn and Mountie, first base DH. You've got O'Neill in right, Cowser in left, Cedric Mullins in center. Where do you get Heston in there, even against a righty, at least for one day? He wasn't in the lineup. He got in the game very late.
That's what I was going to ask you. How's this DH going to shake out? Because Tyler O'Neill has shown to stay healthy, he's got to get those big muscles off his little feet.
and he may spend some time there. But, I mean, for me, I see it as right now they got 3 bats they like, O'Neill and 2 lefties, and O'Hearn and Heston and Mountie, first base, right field, DH. And in a given night, it's hard to get all 3 in the lineup, because they only got 9 spots. And O'Neill in there somewhere. So they'll probably spot O'Neill. They're probably going to hope to get the 110, 120 that the Red Sox got last year. And, I mean, he still hit 30-some home runs with that. So they want to keep him on the field, obviously. He's got a pretty good glove, too. And I think they've got depth in the outfield because Laureano, they're going to spot in some against some lefties as they go. And Heston is obviously going to get in there against some righties.
So here we go. Orioles coming in hot. They look really good. What are the expectations? Where do you see this team going in the AL East? I'm not talking about playoffs right now. I want to talk about the AL East because it's going to be a stacked team. There's a lot of stacked teams in there.
And they believe they're as good as any of them. I was at one of their minor league affiliates yesterday in Bowie, Maryland. The Chesapeake Bay Sox are doing some expansion of their stadium. So I was there for that event. Mike Elias attended, Cal Ripken attended, and Elias told us that he is very confident in his team. He knows how good the division is, but right now he feels the Orioles stack up as well as anyone. He actually was very high on the pitching, even though they've got the Grayson injury right now, and they didn't re-sign Corbin Burns. I mean, he really likes how it's come together to this point. And he feels like their experienced bullpen with the return of Felix Bautista is going to be pretty strong. So he's, you would expect the general manager of a contending team to be high on his team on opening day, and he is.
So I want to talk about Charlie Morton for a second, if you could, Steve. What has he meant to this young pitching staff, and what do you expect from him as far as workload this season?
Going to be fun to see. Of course, he goes tonight, game 2. And to me, when we interviewed Morton, when he just signed with the Orioles, he talked about the resurgence of his career in the second half of his career. Really, about 6 or 8 years ago, he was in Houston, and Elias was on that staff, and they asked him to go for strikeouts and try to get more swing and miss in his pitching. And he made that adjustment. He was a pitch-to-contact guy who never thought about strikeouts much, and he started to get more. And if you look at how he's ranked since then, It's truly impressive, and so is its durability at 41. It's crazy. I mean, he had better numbers the last 2 years than Grayson and Dean Kramer. If you just go by ERA and some other stats notes, so I think the expectations are pretty high for him, even though he's 41. Does he have another season in the sun? Does he have another 170 innings in him? If he does, it will be big for the Orioles, and that for him all starts tonight.
Steve, before I ask my question, I want to confirm. You said Mike Elias, the GM for the Orioles, said he's happy with their pitching staff.
He called it the strength of the team. He really likes how it is right now. I think he noted that they're dealing with some injuries, and he said, we think they will be on the short term. We're looking forward to getting some guys back. Yeah, he feels like they've got pitching that will be good enough to win this division right now.
Steve, don't let Mike Elias say that. Mike Elias was the one who did not go out and push anybody. Mike Elias is the forward-facing front of the ownership who did not go out and make the push for the guys that were out there. One of them even went to the division. I know Corbin Burns left, but
right.
This pitching staff is not their strength. They scored 12 runs yesterday because this team's lineup is so deep, it extends in a line down to Norfolk. Their pitching staff is their Achilles heel right now. I'm not saying they don't have I think they have a really good bullpen, but with Grayson down already, they're already testing their depth, which they didn't have coming into this. So did he give any explanation of why he thinks that? Because I don't see any of the guys on their top 10 Norfolk, taxi ride that they have coming from starting pitching.
Well, here's what, and again, he didn't go into a detailed explanation of each guy and expectations, but again, maybe he's looking at it optimistically. But Oriole fans, I think, agree with what you said there, that they'll go as far as the pitching will take them. And it could be that the offense, which could be top 5 in baseball, may have to carry that pitching maybe early in the year, maybe all year. We're going to see. But they were incredibly impressed by Sagano, his March. Povich had a strong March following up a big September. He looks like a young guy ready to pop. And by that, I don't mean pitch like Grayson, say, has pitched the last 30-some starts. But I think he's a young guy on the come. So they do feel encouraged by that. They look at their bullpen. They see a lot of experience. They see the fact that several of these guys have saves, and they feel that Felix is just about all the way back, and they'll be cautious with him. So, again, is it an optimistic way to look at it? It probably is. But I would bet most general managers whose teams look good right now on day one of the season are feeling pretty optimistic about their team. And so there still is the trade deadline where if the Orioles need to make that move, they could try to do it in July.
Well said, Steve. I know you cover the Orioles, but can you give us a breakdown of what you saw in 9 innings from the Blue Jays? I mean, this team was not good last year. Their front office is on a sizzling hot seat. This is a very good division, right? Almost everyone's looking at this division saying there's not a bad team in this division. What did you think of the first day of the Blue Jays?
I mean, if you're a Toronto fan, you had to be incredibly disappointed. Your team gets pummeled on opening day. I mean, Barrios was 10-1 with a 2.95 career ERA against the Orioles, and they finally hit him. They had not hit that guy much over his entire career. So when I've watched the Blue Jays the last 4 years, from afar, obviously, I don't cover that team every day, so I don't speak as any expert on the Blue Jays, but I see them seldom equaling the sum of their parts. I've looked at their lineup over the years and said, wow, look at what Toronto's got. And then the season ends and they don't win as many games. I mean, they're coming off a losing record. The Blue Jays, you just feel like should be more formidable than this. And maybe they're going to be. It was a dud for one day, and it'll get a lot better sooner than later. But over the last few years, I've just been surprised that they don't seem to play as well as what their roster looks like they might.
Yeah, it's well said. That's what I've seen as well. And, you're hoping for a bounce back from someone like Bo Bichette. It's one game, but he was 0 for 4. Really, Andres Jimenez was the only one who did anything, and he was in the cleanup spot, surprisingly. Anyway, great start for Baltimore. You really can't draw it up much better than that on opening day. Steve, thank you for the time. Good to see you. We'll get you back on soon, okay?
All right, guys. Enjoy it. Thanks.
Thank you. Steve Melewski can be followed on Twitter as well, at Steve on Baseball. Be right back with our first show of the year. If you're looking for premium clothes at an affordable price, you got to check out True Classic. AJ, you're rocking the True Classic shirt right now.
Oh, believe it. Look at this thing. Look at it. It's soft. It fits perfect, even with these guns. Not too tight like Scott likes it. Little bit of room to move in there, right? Look, you can wear it under a suit. You can wear it out to dinner with some nice jeans. You can wear it to the gym if that's what your game is. Whatever it takes, this thing fits great, feels great. Great shirt.
The long sleeve Henny for these cold, kind of warm spring days. Perfect.
Yep. Build the perfect outfit in 5 minutes or less. Everything goes great together. Free shipping on all orders. It's designed to bring out your best features with a perfect fit. So, FT fam, whether you're bundling up for the cold or getting ready for spring, level up your style with clothes that actually fit right. Go to our exclusive link, trueclassic.com/foul to save. That's trueclassic.com/FOUL. Shop now and elevate your wardrobe today. FT fam, get after it.
Nobody wants a square shirt. Nobody wants to put on a shirt that looks like a Scrabble cube. These things, they just fit super awesome, like everywhere. They just drape down. They kind of slim you down a little bit, especially coming out of the winter. You need to look a little slimmer when it gets warm.
Facts. You look great.
I know.
So
I'm
tell
good
me
at
about
two
your
things.
boy. Yes. What?
Wearing True Classic shirts.
And?
You have to find out. I got to have some secrets.
Okay, well, can you give me your best minute on a mini injury suck here during the break? Liam Hendriks goes down for some right
elbow inflammation. 15-day IL. It's okay. The guy is coming off of quite a significant last 3 years of injuries, off injuries, Tommy John. It's okay. You want this guy full boat. They got the bullpen locked down. If they score like they did the other day, you don't need Liam right away. But he's going to be a good insurance policy when he comes back fully healthy, and he knows when he's fully healthy.
Well, Willie Abreu was a one-man wrecking machine for Boston yesterday in that Texas win. I don't know if we'll get time for it. I mean, for the Red Sox win over Texas. I think we will, actually. We're going to talk about it more, actually, in the next break. There's a great quote from young Christian Campbell to Alex Cora. So we'll go over that next.
Steve, right?
The Show is back. The Marlins walked off the Pirates yesterday, but wait, there was a questionable call. Bill Miller calling balls and strikes yesterday, and everyone was shaking their head. And actually, everyone was trying to tap their head, but we were like, nope, that's not until next year, the ABS challenge system. So here it is.
1-2.
Oh
by. Fortunate break for Dane Myers. Can he make him pay? Line drive. Center field, the base hit for Myers. Here comes Lopez. We're tied on opening day.
There you go, Kratz. There's your boy. That's a strike. And then you get an extra life and you come through. Good for Dane Myers, but bad call.
Bad call. I get it. You know, Joey Bart caught it well. He moved the glove. Analytics would say he moved the glove well, but if you watch the video, he actually moves his whole body and moves the glove well. To me, I think that's what lost it for him. And it lost me 274 bones on my lock.
Are you saying anything to Bill Miller after that, Kratzy?
After he gets the hit?
Yeah.
Yeah, not after the pitch, because dudes miss him. After he gets the hit, oh, man, I am so pissed. I am so pissed. There's one. Brian Knight called a ball on Cody Bellinger in 18, and Cody, the next pitch, hits a grand slam. Brian Knight called every single pitch a strike the rest of the game. I think it was maybe my best framing game of all time, but we were already down by 4 runs by that time. I was so pissed, and he knew he missed the call. That's the other hard part is you get pissed because your team is now, well, in their case, tied up, or in our case, we're losing by 4, and he knows he missed it. And so you sit there and you're like, he knows he missed it? Like, what am I supposed to say?
Let him know right away, dude. Right away when the pitcher, we're about to throw to first because the inning's over with. You're like, hey, where you got that one, dude? That's a strike 3. And, you know, Miller's a feisty guy back there, but at the end of the day, now when the guy gets the hit, you're like, thank you. I would have to say something.
Oh, that's when you get it. That's when you let it eat. I'm letting it eat, but I'm not turning around and yelling at him. I'm letting it eat ahead of time. And Bill Miller is not the most talkative during game. Off the field, awesome. Super talkative. On the field, yeah, nope, missed it.
Yeah, 100%.
Nope, wasn't there. Borderline. And you're like, say something more.
I don't want to overreact, but I think we all know that Pittsburgh needs every win that it can get. You have Paul Skeens, opening day. Sandy Alcantara looked really good too, right? It wasn't that. I mean, I think they basically canceled each other out, right? Yeah, 5 1/3 from Skeens, 2 earned runs, 7 punch outs, and 4 2/3 from Alcantara, 2 earned runs, 7 strikeouts. But still, Skeens day, team that didn't do anything as usual for the most part in the offseason. They do have a good starting staff. This is not good. And actually, did I say it to you, Danny, yesterday? I was like, worried about the bullpen. I'm not going to put it all on one pitch, but Holderman does blow the save. Bednar was not good last year. Yesterday, gives up the walk-off hit to Stowers. So here we go again. It's just not the way you want to start things off for a team that actually usually starts off hot.
Yeah. Well, it's not good for the Pirates to lose the Paul Skeens start, but especially not good for Derek Shelton and his, job security. He's a guy that's been around for a few years with the Pirates and just kind of, trying to get them through this. But if they're not winning Paul Skeens starts, you're in trouble.
What about Ben Cherington, Kratz? I think this is year 5 or 6 that he's running the team. Isn't he on the hot seat just as much as the manager?
I couldn't agree more. I mean, when you get the Pirates job, you pick somebody from a Latin country, from the Dominican Republic, and say, well, these guys, they don't make it to the big leagues till, at least 6 years. And you're paving your road for that 5 to 6 year plan. 5 to 6 years out, we're going to be good. Ben Cherington, you've been there a minute now. I think this is actually his 6th or 7th year, if I'm not mistaken. 6th or 7th season. But either way, didn't do enough. I think last offseason he had a good offseason in the Pirates sense, where he was going out and getting little supplemental pieces that could give them some depth. Hey, you know what? It didn't work out. They lost 10 straight after the trade deadline, or like leading up to the trade deadline, and they didn't trade, their Aroldis Chapman. We didn't agree with it, but hey, he pushed in. Now you start doing that kind of stuff. You gotta push. You gotta keep pushing. You can't just keep adding the veteran pieces there. That you got to make something happen. Trade from some of your prospect depth and make a player happen that comes in and is a difference maker.
Hold up. They didn't do anything last year at the deadline. They just did nothing. I mean, they added Brian De La Cruz.
That's what I mean.
Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. Okay. I'm just making sure. Like they didn't sell, which was fine. But were you going for it, or you were just cruising through the rest of the season?
He went. What I meant was he went on his path. He's like, we're going to keep Aroldis Chapman. We're going to add Kiner-Falefa for next year. The Brian De La Cruz thing, I have no idea. I mean, they DFA'd him, but there was no planning there. It was just, we just did it. To me, that was their plan. And to me, if you're gonna say, well, I got a 5-year plan, that was a bold move in the Pirates' landscape of player development, because it's nothing compared to what, to me, I think they need to do. But it's also like that was their bold move. So you put yourself in the hot seat, which GMs don't ever want to do. GMs are always saying 5 years out. We always got these guys in low A. This class is unbelievable. Bubba Chandler, he's going to be so awesome. He is. But you need this team to start playing together now because Paul Skeen's clock, just like Marissa Tomei said, my biological clock is ticking.
Well, they used to call it a 5-year plan. Maybe it's an 8-year plan over there. All right, let's go to Seattle. So that was a fun game. I got to check most of that one out. It was the Tyler Soderstrom show for a little bit, too. He had a couple home runs in this one.
2 guys.
Yeah, it was looking like a classic Mariners game for a while. Logan Gilbert was great. Looks like a Cy Young contender. Some of us picked him for Cy Young this year. It's 1-0 late. They did score late. They also had a really tough play where there was a bunt attempt from, I think it was Robles. Did you see this play? And then Ryan Bliss was chugging home. He scores because some people thought there was contact with the bat. There wasn't. So it was just missed by Soderstrom. Here comes Bliss, scores, tying run, woohoo. He popped up. He never touched the home plate.
Dude, you see this too often now. You teach us at the Little League level. When you slide, that front foot, it's got to come down. But sometimes when you slide, boom, the heel hits and it pops up. That was the easy one there. I mean, this is why baseball is the best sport in the world. I tell people this all the time. Game of inches, and if you don't know how to slide, they do that in spring training. We do it all the time. Get that front foot down.
Yeah, pitchers used to practice sliding too when they were allowed to hit. They also made us put our hands way up like this, and I never see a guy sliding like this. But yeah, you see people sliding in, their foot's popping up all the time, and that's when usually the middle infielders keep their glove on the guy. If it comes up 1 inch, you're out.
Drag it through.
Mm-hmm. Well, they ended up getting late offense.
Yeah.
So they did win. Randy Rosarena had a home run and a really epic bat spike. There's Julio Rodriguez entering the ballpark with a little dub. He was using his Adidas cleats as a phone, which, hey, I mean, it worked out for him. He was styling. Cool. The cleats were awesome, by the way, too. But this is a big year for him. He's been off to slow starts in the past. His teammates picked up the pace yesterday late. Like I mentioned, it was Randy and Kratz. It was also Jorge Polanco, who they did retain, right? He was a free agent this year. They kept him 3 for 3, hit a big 2-run home run to center field for the dub.
Guess the ball's flying. And they straightened out the batter's eye. It was the same, but look who got the game-winning run, or was it the game-winning run? Because it wasn't a walk-off. J.P. Crawford was all over this game. J.P. Crawford was making plays. He was, to me, when he's healthy, obviously you have the captain behind the dish. Obviously you have every year Julio should be a MVP candidate. J.P. Crawford anchoring shortstop, to me, he's got that energy. You see him after the game. Everybody's kind of crowding around him. He just got that. He's just got it. He's him. He's him for that team, I think.
More than Julio?
I think because of the energy that he brings. I think Julio is the best player. I think he has the highest ceiling. I think Cal is the steadiest rock on that team. I think your shortstop, you look at really good teams, shortstops have that, teams that have that alpha male, and obviously this pitching staff is the alpha male in the entire league. But JP, to me, just brings something, and he's matured ever since they gave him that contract. I think it was 5 years, 60 or something. It almost felt like he looked like he was like, okay, I'm here. This is my place. Let's go, boys. And he's missed some time. And I feel like the team kind of suffers when he's not in there. Obviously, as any team would, when you don't have a big league shortstop playing your position. Not saying Dylan Moore's not a big league shortstop. He's not J.P. Crawford. And I think he's a guy that kind of gets that engine going.
Yeah, 5 years, 51 was that extension a few years ago. I think it was opening day of 2022. So
and that play that Crawford made to end the game last night too was ridiculous. To sprint on that little chopper and to be able to get Lawrence Butler before he got by him and still complete the double play. That's huge. And not many guys can do that.
Yeah, they're built on what they've got up the middle. So good for the Mariners. They start 1-0. Some people big on the A's, like AJ, they're 0-1 to start the year. All right, let's run through more games when we swing back. Let's get to the Tigers-Dodgers heavyweight tilt, and the White Sox won and celebrated big. I'm going to read this quote from Dan Shaughnessy in the Boston Globe. In a refreshing burst of innocence, Alex Cora, Red Sox manager, revealed that when he told Christian Campbell he was making the big league club, Campbell asked his manager, quote, "Who's going to be my roommate?"
Wow.
Really funny.
That is funny. Where's the veteran guys at letting them know? Letting them
I
know
think he was
about the
trolling them.
experiences coming up. What's that?
I think he was trolling them. He knew he didn't have no roommate. Y'all talk about that all the time. Christian Campbell, he was a stud in the minor leagues. He probably didn't even live with anybody in the minor leagues. No, he ain't got no roommate. But it is an idea because I know a lot of guys who really like roommates. And so they would get joining rooms and they'd open the center door and just yell at each other. As long as the other dude doesn't snore. Like me, I couldn't be a roommate with somebody in the big leagues. I snore too much.
Well, I did have a roommate in the big leagues when I first got called up because you had to. And I had to do thankfully it was only for a couple months. But Brian Giles was my roommate.
Oh, that's a pretty big boy roommate right there. Talented roommate.
I got to watch him shave his body every day.
Now you gonna clean this up?
Wait, so what happened? Did they get rid of it soon after that?
Yeah, I think it was the next year. The Players Association put it in that we couldn't have roommates.
Okay,
nice.
We always talk. What about why do they have the CBA? Oh, thank you, Danny Graves, for the CBA getting changed. We don't have to have a roommate, and grown men don't be needing to share a room in the Ritz.
True.
Yeah,
that's right.
And especially back then, there was no cell phone, so we had to share the one phone.
Wow.
The hotel
phone. Like, all right, I got the hotel phone. I'm going to make the phone call to fam.
Yeah, who gets to pay for the long distance call at the end of the road trip? Yeah.
You're a dinosaur. You're a dinosaur, Danny.
98 years old.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, that was something for me.
Sad.
All right, so when we swing back, we're going to go over the Tigers and Dodgers. We'll do a little fun thing from the White Sox game, and then if we have time, we'll get to the Braves and the Padres as well. Give us 30 seconds. First better than box scores of the year. Tigers Dodgers was awesome.
Really good game.
Really good. They obviously were doing all the big stuff beforehand to celebrate the title with the home crowd. But then the game was back and forth, star power. It was fun. And also a flashback from last playoffs because you had Tommy Edman with a homer. Suddenly he's a home run hitter with the Dodgers. It's crazy. Teoscar Hernandez had a huge homer late. Of course, Shohei had the massive home run that made it, 5-3 in the bottom of the seventh. So technically that was the one that put them over the top. You had Skubal against Snell making his debut with the Dodgers. I mean, that had it all, man. That was really fun.
And the Tigers probably should have won that game. I think at one point they were 1 for 13 with runners in scoring position. It could have been a lot worse too as well. Snell got his way out of a couple jams. Torkelson made a bad base running mistake at third base when the ball got nubbed right in front of home plate. It was going to go to first. Snell told him to go to third, got in a quick rundown out. Just a couple mistakes by the Tigers. If they limit half of that, they might have won that game, Danny.
Yeah, it was almost like no chance to win, though. When Ice Cube shows up before the game and he's hanging out with the lineup, bringing the World Series trophy, you really have no chance when Ice Cube shows up. But it was a great game. I think the Dodgers had a great game plan against Skubal. Skubal broke some bats, broke Shohei's bat before the homer, but he only struck out 2 batters. They know that Skubal is in the strike zone, so they were attacking pitches early in the strike zone. So it was a great game plan.
Game I thought was going to be a lot of punchies. This homer by Shohei, like this is a homer that righties hit. Like it looked like the ball just was rocket to go to opposite field. I love that homer, and I love Torkelson's homer. Torkelson getting walked 3 times. This dude was ticketed for AAA, was all the talk. There's no spot. He comes out and gets an opportunity versus a lefty, hits a dinger on a pitch way in off by Vesia that he kept fair, and 3 walks. To me, you can't have much of a better first day in the big leagues when they were talking about possibly optioning you to AAA before the season. But I couldn't believe there wasn't more strikeouts. If you tell me to pick the over in a game, it's going to be Snell and Tarik Skubal to have over whatever the strikeouts were going to be. And I think they each had 2, because those dudes are going to be double-digit K all year long.
I think if you're a Tigers fan, you should be like, okay, this could be a really good year. You lost by a run to the best team in baseball. They're missing some outfielders right now, including Parker Meadows. So you had actually a guy like Manny Margot who was just picked up with a nice game. But here's the biggest thing for Tigers fans, because this is unexpected if it happens. Spencer Torkelson was on fire yesterday, and he was seeing the zone great. He's got a new swing. That was showed off yesterday too. 3 walks in the game yesterday, plus a homer, and a good one. 4 walks. Sorry, I shorted him 1 walk. 4 walks yesterday, plus a homer. Former first overall pick. At this point, you're looking at him and saying bust, but he's still young, and he was humbled, especially this offseason, by the moves that they made to pick up Gleyber Torres, move Colt Keith over to first. He's trying out anything he can do. He's like, I'll play, obviously, first, DH, outfield time now for him too. And all of a sudden, if he looks like, I don't want to say a star, but if he looks like a different player and even a shell of what we thought he was going to be, it completely changes the dynamic of the lineup for me. I get it. One game, I'm sounding like I'm overreacting, but he looked different.
He certainly looked different, especially the last at bat against Blake Trinan. And Trinan's got that filthy sweeper, and Torkelson spit on those pitches and ends up getting a walk to extend the inning. But just he looked completely different. Last year, that would have ate him up.
And kudos for him. It's hard to change when you're already established as a major league hitter. But going through struggles and saying, you know what, let me change my approach, let me change my path. It looked pretty darn good. He looked so smooth, nice and slow. His lower half was so slow to the ball, and he let his hands work. It was nice to watch.
Did you see on the broadcast they showed the line?
Yeah.
Of his
perfectly,
yeah. Well, I don't know
body structure.
Yeah. You didn't see that, Kratz?
Money.
I didn't see it. No.
They were showing the difference and how they felt like he was off mechanically.
Just how
in the
he was
past.
centered.
More centered.
Yeah, more centered as a hitter.
Like he was leaned over, or he was more upright, or something.
Well, on the actual home run at the point of contact, how his body wasn't like off-centered, where one part is going too much forward, his head's not centered over his body. It was like a perfect
staying behind the ball.
Yeah, perfectly straight line.
Scott, you love OPS plus. After that game by Torkelson, what do you think his OPS plus was after one game?
I would say 350.
1,193 was his OPS plus now. He's leading.
Just stop the rest of the season. Just walk out. Drop the mic.
So there you go. If you ever wondered what OPS plus really means, there it is.
It means they love you. They love them some walks and a homer and nothing else.
And a homer.
Don't get out at all. Yeah. I wait on that stat for about a month, but still.
All right.
That was a big performance. But I like that, though. I'm glad you looked that up for me. All right, let's get to the White Sox. Again, I know we touched on them for a moment, but I really want to show the Will Venable celebration that we had, too. So the Angels got beat up by the White Sox, and Venable gets his first win as manager. Some people online, of course, are like, oh, this is too much. I'm like, no, it's not. I mean, you guys know when a dude gets his first hit or any big moment, right? A pitcher gets his first win or something like that. You throw him in the cart. You throw baby powder, ketchup. Yeah, it's a little party. It's like, hey, you made it and you're doing things. So they've done this for managers before. The White Sox are just going to catch the brunt of jokes because of what they experienced last year. And obviously, it's not going to be a good team. They're not going to be a playoff team. But when you win on opening day and Will Venable gets his first crack as manager and gets a dub, yeah, you party.
You should.
100%. Listen, you're a first-time manager. You played. You were a third base coach. You were a first base coach, and now all of a sudden you get your first win when everybody's expecting this team to just tank the whole year and not be that good. You celebrate as much as you can, and you stay in that locker room as long as you can too. And then give your wife or whoever your significant others are hugs and kisses, but you get the scorecard, you get everything, and you make a nice little mantle out of it.
I mean, they were supposed to lose 162, so he's already beat that, right?
Yeah.
When we watched this last night at home at supper, I think it was at supper that my kids watched it, and my boys go, "What did they do for your first hit?" Because they were like, "Well, that's weird. Do they always do that?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, you take them into the shower, you dump mayonnaise, mustard, Gatorade, baby powder, shampoo, anything you can dump on them." So it's a fun celebration. And my sons go, "What did they do for your first big league hit?" And I was like, we weren't a very good team. And I specifically remember it's a long walk from the dugout all the way up to the clubhouse in Pittsburgh. There was guys as I was coming into the locker room already showered and leaving. There was no celebration. And my sons were like, "Oh, that is so sad, Dad. Maybe we should have a celebration for you now." I was like, "No, thank you."
But do you have the ball?
I do. And normally, like some teams, they do like a ball and a bat, like in like a nice case. Old Bones, Scotty Bonet wrote on my ball for me, and so I still have it.
Awesome. But you didn't get the fancy souped up gift for it?
No, I got the lineup card. Laz Diaz gave me his lineup card, and I think the bench coach gave me Gary Varsho gave me his lineup card. They stacked them on my chair so that I could take them home. Like some teams, they put together like this whole like plaque and like 3D case and all that stuff that plays a continuous loop of your first hit ever. A little sad.
Well,
sure?
we have some video evidence of Venable partying. Here it is.
Hey, thank you guys. A lot more to come. Way to fucking go, dude. Thank you, man.
That's cool.
That's awesome. Good thing he's young and
Good,
can get out of that basket.
Yeah,
And no ketchup, mustard, mayonnaise, not hot sauce. That was clean. That was clean.
that was nice. Little league vibes, but in a good way.
Yeah, for sure.
They all still want playing time, so nobody's dumping mayonnaise on the manager. And based on how young the White Sox are, they might be doing this every night. They might be just running through stuff. You know, any young team, the Marlins, they're just pushing guys in the shower all the time.
All right. Lastly, let's get to the Braves falling to the Padres. So Atlanta looked good early. Braves fans, including our Hammer Territory hosts, were very critical of the bullpen usage by Brian Snitker, which included Hector Neris in a big spot. They didn't like how Daysbel Hernandez wasn't used, and they talked about it in the offseason as a reason why they didn't go after another big gun reliever. They're like, well, then why aren't you using him in the big spot? Scott Coleman of Hammer Territory tweeted, Snicker's going to use Neris over Daysbel or Bummer in a one-run game after the team had 6 months off. It's just awesome. So later says, hey, this guy who was available in March on a minor league deal and got 1 strikeout in 3 spring training appearances, let's make him our 7th inning setup man on the very first day of the season. So they fall 7-4 on opening day. They also went 0 for 7 with runners in scoring position. They left 10 on base, right? They scored 4. They didn't score 10. But there was, a very large critical base of fans about how they used their bullpen yesterday. Kratz is shaking his head. I think Snicker said after the game something along the lines of, hey, it's 7 games in a row, Padres and Dodgers. They're going to have to spread it out. Can't use all the big guns at once. The Hammer host said, that's cool, but let's win game 1 if you're there and you're winning. And even later in the game, then they're losing. They bring in Grant Holmes, who's going to start, I guess, in a few days. So what are you puzzled about?
I'm puzzled about, like, Hector Neris isn't good just because you picked him up partway through March. Like, you picked him up to be a piece of your bullpen. You needed a dude to come in. That was his lane. I know I've said it twice now. That was his lane in the lineup. And, like, don't like, 1 strikeout in 3 spring training innings. I was just compiling some stats here. Matt Olson hit 184 in spring training. Austin Riley hit 261. So are we benching those guys? Are we moving them down in the lineup? Stop. You didn't have 6 months to prepare for this game. You came out, you put the best players out there. Brian Snitker has taken this team to a World Series. This was going to be my overreaction. Oh, we don't have defined roles. Look around baseball. Nobody has defined roles. The Dodgers are 3-0. They don't know who's going to close because everybody can. Hector Neris is going to be a big part of this bullpen. I mean, they have Pierce Johnson. They have Aaron Bummer. They have so many pieces. They have Raisel Iglesias. They have a lot down there. It's okay. They're going to be fine. Going to Hector Neris was not a bad call. It didn't work out.
Hector Neris has over 600 career games pitched in the big leagues with a 3.3 something ERA. The dude has been successful in those roles. I don't see a problem bringing him in.
It wasn't a closer either.
Yeah, and
it was the 7th.
It was the 7th inning, but I'm going to go on the other side. I know you guys are with. He's got 2 pitches. Okay.
Yeah.
Fastball and that split, right? Right, Eric? If I'm not mistaken, split change and fastball. He's been good, but I mean, for me, from recently, I don't know if you put him in that situation. He's not a guy that has anything else. You sit on 1 pitch and hopefully you get it. So again, I do hear where the Braves guys are coming from. I'm not going to say it's that big of a deal, but at the same time, he's got to find and mix and match when to put him in. He's not that guy anymore, in my opinion.
I disagree. He's in that bullpen to get you big outs. He got hurt. To me, if you want to second guess something, he got hurt on a heater up in the zone. Like, Hector Neris doesn't throw heaters for strikes. He doesn't throw splitters for strikes. And yet, he has, what did you say, Danny? 600 appearances with a below a 3.3 ERA.
3.3, yep.
He's had 2 pitches since he came out the womb. He doesn't throw any more pitches. He's just a straight top to bottom guy, and he gets those swings and misses. He left a fastball flat in the zone up, and his fastball, even when he was like 97, 98, his fastball wouldn't get by guys. It was just the fear of that, because that splitter's almost like a fork sometimes. It almost is like a fork ball where it just drops off the table, and it's tough to keep in the zone, but dudes just keep swinging, and he keeps pitching.
Also, the Braves knocked out Michael King pretty early, right? He didn't make it through the 3rd inning. There was some sign. The Braves are going to be fine, okay? Yeah. And I said this. I was on a radio station this morning talking about the Braves. They're about to face more Padres and then Dodgers to start the season, and it's 7 games in a row. Don't be surprised if they return home 2-5 and don't care. It doesn't matter. They're going to be good. They just happen to be going through a gauntlet right away to start the year. Dodgers are totally feeling themselves, and they're healthy. Usually there's problems as the year goes on for them. Padres, same thing. They're a little bit thinner this year, but Jackson Merrill, 4 RBIs. He looks like he's going to be a stud again, just like he was last year. Tatis was a big story, too. He stole 2 bags. He didn't steal 2 bags in 1 game all of last year, and he's fast. And he spoke post-game, and it sounds like, Kratz, you better check out a little over-under on the stolen bases for Fernando Tatis, because apparently he went from 1 leg to 2. Did you see the quote?
Yeah. That's the first time I saw it. When I saw the quote today, I was like, I didn't hear about that. And I forget who it was. Was it Profar? Was Profar on talking about how, like, Acuna, Tatis, Soto, like, he put Tatis, whoever it was that was talking about it, put Tatis in a category that I was like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if he's in that category, but if he was literally did what he did last year on one leg, like if he was grinding through something, there's another gear. There's another gear for that dude, because maybe he could be the electric player that we saw when he first came up. He had that little break that he took for a little bit of the good, and maybe he's matured. Maybe he's got his body healthy now, and two bags in one game, and 0 multi-stolen base games all of last year. So that's a telling sign.
Here it is. He goes, I mean, last year I was standing on one leg. You can really see how healthy I am right now. It's a huge part of my game, one of my favorite parts of the game. I really missed it. They're going to let him run loose a little bit. That's what I was saying about the Padres. I mean, look at this lineup. If you think Tatis is Tatis, I mean, that's an MVP candidate. He went 3 for 4, scored a couple times yesterday. Obviously, I'm a big fan of Luis Arraez and the kind of difference that he makes in a lineup because he's such a contact king. Of course, he didn't strike out yesterday. He didn't do anything, but he had an RBI. Machado, if he's feeling better, because remember last year, especially in the first half of the year, he was still coming back from big surgery. Bogarts should at least still be an average bat, if not a little bit better. I know, they expect more from him. Now you're already down to Jackson Merrill, who, I mean, could be an MVP candidate. He's that good. I'm just saying, this lineup's pretty good. Obviously, Sheets had the big home run late. He moves away from the White Sox. So the Padres were a win away from taking down the Dodgers and probably winning the World Series. They lost the guys, but not everybody. I mean, it's true.
It's true. It is.
I feel like they got kicked this offseason by some people on their lists. They're like, oh, they're looking at our predictions yesterday even, or just our power rankings. Like I had them in my top 10 power rankings. People are like, you don't watch baseball. I'm like, I watch baseball, and I saw them almost beat the best team in baseball last year.
Yeah, and I have them making the playoffs too. I think the Dodgers will win the division, of course. But yes, they have a squad, man, and they play, and now Tatis is healthy. I mean, look out. King didn't have his best outing yesterday. He's still going to be a really good pitcher. And they're ready to rock, man. So watch out for them to make a move, beating a good Braves team. That's a really good start. They got a couple more to go.
Mm-hmm. All right. When we swing back, we're going to actually look at opening day rotations and who's got the best one. We'll look at the top 10. Our buddy Jim Bowden put a list together. So we'll slice through it. We'll pick out a few parts that we like and a few parts that we do not like. Next. All right, we're back. So you also had Profar returning to San Diego, and that was cool. That was a big deal for him, Kratz, to not only put the season together that he did last year and completely change generations of family with the money that he made with that contract, right? He was coming off a 1 year, $1 million deal. There it is. I mean, he was one step away from being out of the game, and now look at him, a big signing for the Braves. He wanted to return to the Padres. They were not going to be able to offer him that much based on budgeting, and he gets a really, really nice ovation. If he's on your team, he is really fun to root for.
Yeah, 100%. And he was their team last year. To come out and do that's where I have the Padres out of the top 10. Where are they going to get enough depth from their starting pitching? And how are they going to be able to make up for what he provided? Is somebody going to step up? Is Jackson Merrill going to have the same season plus what Profar did? And to me, he was in the middle of some scrums. Like that play where they, I think it was the Nats got pissed off because they walked somebody in front of him and then he got the walk-off hit. That's the kind of stuff that brings teams together. Who's going to make up for the production on the field that he left, but also that energy.
Yep.
And you think about this guy too as well. Like before last year, he was a good player, but he bet on himself. What was it, a 1 year, $1 million contract, and all of a sudden he comes out and tears it up. Good for him. Good moment for him and his family too as well. This is awesome, and to see the crowd cheer for him like that, he had an impact not only with the team but with the city as well.
Yeah, good player. Really, really good on base guy.
Very good.
should be helpful.
And he
to the
raised
Braves
his
with their
average
power.
exit velocity. His average exit velocity by 5 miles per hour.
Wow.
which is insane.
Which is insane at that point in your career.
Yeah.
I don't know how you do that.
That is true.
Probably went down a weight size in bat.
Is that what it was? He went higher. He went a longer and heavier bat, and so he just started hitting it harder.
Longer and shorter.
Longer,
Bat
shorter, darker, and lighter bat. Yes.
Two-toned.
Flame-tempered bats, and he was taking a bone and boning down the bat. That's what it was.
And the knob was not there anymore either.
And bicep.
Don't do that with your hands. Don't do that with your hands.
Let's rip through this article from our own Jim Bowden, who also writes for The Athletic, of course, among other gigs. He's ranking all 30 opening day rotations. I'll give you the 1 through 5, and then if you want to go deeper in the list and pick anything out, go for it. Dodgers 1, Phillies 2, Mariners 3, Diamondbacks 4, Braves 5. Anyone with opening thoughts here? Yes?
I have one. Mariners should be higher.
Okay, so give me your top 3 or 5.
I'll give you my top 3 right now. I would go Dodgers for sure. I would go Mariners number 2, and then I would say Diamondbacks number 3.
Okay.
I would have Phillies right in between there, 4 and 5. Painters in the minors, Taijuan Walker's okay, but yeah, that's what I would switch there right there.
Kratz, do you take offense to that, or you're okay with it?
No, I'm fine with that. I think the Mariners should be far and above everybody else because they've done it. The Dodgers rotation is nobody's more deep. Nobody has, the star power of that rotation. The ceiling of that rotation is ridiculous. What the Mariners did this year, this list has them 3. George Kirby's not even on it. I get it's opening day, but George Kirby's not even on it. And you have, you're missing Ranger Suarez for the Phillies. To me, I don't think the Phillies are better than the Mariners. So you have to put the Mariners above the Phillies.
For rotations.
Yes, for rotation.
Okay. Mr. Pitcher?
It's just odd that the Dodgers have 10 people on this list. I know Grassy just mentioned depth. I mean, that's insane, man. So if a couple of these guys need a blow, like Sasaki gets his first year in the big leagues here. Whenever Shohei decides to come back, if they need a break, they still got like 4 extra guys in the minor leagues that are ready to pitch right now in a rotation. So that's sick.
Missing a name too, by the way. Tony Gonsolin is going to come back at some point, probably not too far away, maybe a month or so.
Yeah, well, okay, 11. We'll just say there's 11.
Keep going. There's probably more.
Yeah, I'm sure there's more, but I do actually like the Royals to be a little bit higher. I love Cole Reagan, Seth Lugo, Michael Wacha. And then even Michael Lorenzen as their number 5 guy, he's going to give you innings. He'll take a beating if he needs to take a beating, but he's going to save the bullpen, and he's going to just flip that rotation around. So I would say that they're probably up there at number 5 maybe, and just bump Braves and Tigers down 1.
Okay.
I think the Pirates should be in the top 10. I think the Rays should be out of the top 10. I think the Astros should at least be ahead of the Rays. I think that Astros rotation, Framber Valdez, while there's inconsistency, Hunter Brown showed he figured it out last year. Spencer Arrighetti really showed he figured it out. And Ronel Blanco, nobody knew about him before last year, and he threw a no-no. So I think Hayden Wesneski is going to be a huge piece of that trade. I get it. Cam Smith's going to be, the marquee guy if he turns out to be. I think Scott picked him to be the rookie of the year. What a frontliner. You wouldn't have even picked him before that.
That was me.
Cam Smith, both of us.
Oh, Danny did?
Me too.
We both did. Yeah.
Both
So
did.
if you're going to make fun of me, then you have to make fun of my friend, Danny Graves, too.
No.
You can make fun of me, Kratzy. It won't be the first time somebody has.
But anyway.
So do we think the Tigers were accurately placed here?
Again, it's a potential lineup. I think Reese Olson is very underrated. I think Reese Olson's win-loss percentage last year, throughout the first half of the year, it was like, oh my gosh, they just would lose his starts. And he had below a 3 ERA for a good chunk of the season, and they just kept losing his starts. He was that one that snake bit. So I like it. Chris Bubik and Michael Lorenzen at the back end, solid. Anytime you have a Cy Young Award winner in your top, you're gonna get some more. You're gonna get some more love. Flaherty figured it out last year with the Tigers, so you know he's gonna do well. Jackson Jobe, you sit there and you go, sorry, I jumped around teams. That was my bad. I jumped around teams a little bit, but I think the Pirates need to be in the top 10. That's where, like, you have Paul Skeens on your team. You're talking about teams that have like guys in the back burner, like in the minor leagues. Bubba Chandler's the real deal. Oh man, I'm completely forgetting who we watched the other day when we were having Bubba Chandler's buddy on. Is it Harrington? Harrington's in the minor leagues. Jared Jones is going to be coming back from the IL. Mitch Keller, Oviedo. We saw Oviedo. He looked like a transformer. He's like 6'7" or 6'8". To me, I think that pitching staff is a top 10 starting rotation.
And I'll end it with this, unless you want to talk more about it.
But
the Tigers, it's going to be different once they get closer to playoffs. AJ Hinch is going to mix and match. He's going to throw
chaos.
He's going to put a reliever to start games.
He doesn't want to always do that, but still, I know it. He's
going to have something up his sleeve. So I would move them down a little bit, or move them up higher.
Yeah, I think it's a really good rotation. I mean, Tarik Skubal, if you don't think he's the best starter in baseball, he's at least top 3, but he was the best pitcher in baseball last year. I think Flaherty's going to have another great year for them. Reese Olson is really sneaky good. Here's the question mark, and this is how I could potentially put it in the top 5 for me. I could jump them over Atlanta for sure. If Casey Mize is the Casey Mize we saw just now in spring training, which was completely different, I'm on board. And Jackson Jobe might win Rookie of the Year. So if they let him eat, right? If they give him 140-plus innings, they might have to give him a break around the All-Star break, an extended break. Then that could be a top 5 rotation. Okay, now let's dip a little bit lower on the list. And I feel like I have a very testy relationship right now with Orioles fans.
Can I, before you go on?
What?
I know one team you're going to move up higher.
Okay.
And
you got to call it first. Who you got?
Well, I'm gonna show him, and I want to see if you say it. Okay. Go ahead.
Okay.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you.
You show him, and then I'll say it.
Oh.
Ready?
Yeah.
So the Blue Jays are 14. The Cubs are 21.
He's out of the top 10, though.
Yeah,
I'm deep.
Never mind. I thought you were going to move the Royals up higher because that's
the Royals.
Spot.
Yeah, no, I like the Tigers and the Royals this year. Yes, but for me, Kratz, I know we're picking on them. I love the offense. They had a great day yesterday, but Zach Eflin, Charlie Morton, Dean Kramer, Shigano, and Cade Povich, or Shota Imanaga, Justin Steele, Jamison Tyone, Matthew Boyd, Ben Brown. Which starting 5 do you want?
This is what I was talking to Steve about. Easily the Cubs starting rotation. This is the work. Like I think they have a great bullpen. I think the Orioles have a great bullpen, and the Cubs have a lot of stuff has to go right for that bullpen. To me, I'm taking the Cubs rotation every day. I think the Cubs they're outside the top 10. I think they're below the Pirates somewhere.
So, yeah, the Blue Jays were 14. Or, sorry, the Orioles were 14. The Blue Jays were 15.
Yep.
Then if you get into the 20s, the Mets were 20. The Cubs were 21st. I'm like, no. The Cubs should not be 21st, JB.
I don't know. I think he's right.
Really?
Yeah,
Mets,
I'm looking
the
at
Mets should be lower. Above. The Mets opening day starting rotation should be lower.
Lower? Where do you want that?
Definitely not above the Cubs. I mean, look at the Giants starting rotation. Maybe I'm getting enamored by the Verlander, Robbie Ray type of things, but you sit there and you go, you got Logan Webb as a top 5 pitcher every single year.
He only gave up 2 runs yesterday. I mean, it seemed like it was going to be, or 3 runs, excuse me. It seemed like it was going to be a lot more, but that's where he lives. 2-3 run range all the time.
That's what he does. Dudes get 2 singles, and he gets a ground ball double play, punches out the last guy. See ya. Stranded on third.
That's an exact play that happened
Yeah,
yesterday. Yeah. I mean, that's exactly what happened. The pitching coach came out, talked to him. First pitch he threw, double play, ended the inning.
Mm-hmm. He's really good.
Yeah.
He's really solid, consistent. Yeah, but it's not a sexy name because he doesn't strike out the world.
No.
He gets credit, though. He gets high up on Cy Young award lists.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously he hasn't won it, but he's gotten top 5 probably at least twice, I want to say, in his career.
At least.
Yeah, he's really good. He's been worth the money for them. What about the Twins? Pablo Lopez, Joe Ryan, Bailey Ober, Chris Paddock, Simeon Woods, Richardson. They have them at 16. You want that or you want the Cubs?
I think they're right around
Closer?
the same. Yeah.
They're right around the
I do.
same. Different look. Different look.
Yeah.
But why can't the Twins name their number 2 and 3 starters?
Well, they have now.
They have
right?
now?
Yeah. I know that we didn't see it for a while. They were playing a little playoff footsie with us. We're not going to tell you much, at least for a little bit. But they laid it out, I think, now. The end of the list, by the way, to finish this. I mean, I don't think there's much debate here. He went Marlins, Cardinals, A's, Rockies, Nationals, Angels, White Sox.
You can flip a coin with it.
I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good there. Marlins should be a little ahead because of Alcantara.
Yeah.
So I'm fine with that.
Mackenzie Gore did it yesterday in the shadows. The shadows were there, and the boys were swinging and missing. I think the Phillies ended up with like 19 or 20 punchies on the day. The Nationals ended up with like 15 or 16. Don't bet against the shadows. Boys' ball was blinking up there like, I can't see it.
13 Ks for Mackenzie Gore yesterday. Good for him. All right, one more note, and then we are going to talk about the Mets-Astros game from yesterday with Deesha Thosar. But Rob Manfred has been doing his little tour, and he did address the Rays ballpark situation. He said, quote, I think the most important point now is that the Rays and Mr. Sternberg, who's the owner, have to come up with a go-forward plan, what it is they intend to do. I don't think it's realistic to play indefinitely in a repaired Tropicana field, but they've got to tell the other clubs, and I think they've got to tell their fan base that they have a plan for making it work in Tampa Bay. Look at his quotes there versus the other team they always get compared to, which is the A's, and you can see how the league and how Manfred has picked his friends and his frenemies, because he won't say a thing wrong about John Fisher, the Oakland A's owner, and now the Sacramento A's, and eventually maybe the Vegas A's owner. But that's about as out there as he gets, Kratz, with saying it with his chest to go after them. I just feel like maybe they're not best as friends.
Yeah, I don't know who's too pissed off if he peed in somebody's cornflakes, but John Fisher, he might be a narc. He might be like, hey, he might be snitching and be like, hey, guys, check out what Stu Sternberg's doing down in Tampa. Go get him, guys. Sick him. And everyone's like, yeah, get him. Rays, we got to tell you what to do. And the whole time John Fisher's back here like, nobody sees me. I've been doing this for 20 years. We don't even have a rendering of a new stadium in Las Vegas. This is the best.
True. So to be continued on that one, I just thought it was surprising that he went there because he works for them.
Yeah.
So usually he is pretty under control when he's talking about his bosses.
Yeah, I guess sometimes you got to, go straight forward with something. I mean, we haven't heard much. We've heard a lot about Oakland and what they're doing. Haven't really heard much lately about them. Yeah, I don't think he's putting pressure on him a little bit, and I don't see a problem with that. But
he's
I don't know.
Sell. I mean, that's what the story was, where they're going to try and punish them with revenue sharing money at some point. It's just weird to me that you have one case and another case that have a lot of similarities. And one is being treated like the ugly stepchild, and the other one is the actual ugly stepchild that is just getting to go to be the belle of the ball.
Yeah.
He's speaking for the majority here, especially when he says they've got to tell the other clubs, talking about Stu Sternberg and the Rays, have to tell the other clubs. And then he threw in there, and I think they've got to tell their fan base. No, it should be they need to tell their fans what's going on. The other clubs need to keep Stu Sternberg accountable. So there's definitely some dissension in the ranks.
But don't worry, they always vote 30-0 on everything.
I don't know how that happens all the
This
time.
one might
I
be
do.
29-1. Just saying.
Yeah. No, it's always the same. This is a fact. They do the vote, and then they do a quote revote so that it's always 30-0. A show of strength. It's true.
Show of
True.
Unity.
A show of fake strength. Okay, we'll be right back. We're going to talk to Deesha Thosar, one of our favorite guests, about the Mets' slow start and the Astros' fast start. Go ahead, Kratz. I know you were watching all the games. Only 2 people won yesterday. Danny Boy, easy dub, no sweat. Picks up the Orioles run line, and then AJ's crazy parlay hit. So I'm never going to hear the end of that one next week. But Kratz, what happened to us?
I mean, I got Bill Millard. Friggin' bangs him on strike 3, and I'm good. That game's over. Unless Bednar's like, I'm just going to Bednar the bed.
Bednar needs to come on our show and do a little therapy session at some point. I think that'll help. Do we have time for Pat? Yeah, we do. Let's do Pat.
FT fam, what's up? Parlay Pap coming to you live. BetMGM bets for the FT fam. Yeah, we lost yesterday. White Sox won. Congratulations, White Sox. It won't be long until we'll be winning some money on y'all. But anyway, we're going to come back again with a bigger bet. We're putting 300 on the Pirates run line at -1.5, and we're getting plus 120 on that money. We're putting 300, baby. Let's get that cheese.
Okay, Pat. I like that. Pirates.
He was calm.
Come back. Punch him in the mouth. I went with the Cubs. Cubs money line was coming off at plus 120. It was actually moving down. I wish I had gotten it when it was 130, 125, but I didn't. I think they're going to come back out. Jameson Taillon should have started their opening day game, or at least their second game. Now he gets to get out there, show this rotation depth.
Why? You weren't okay with Steele again?
No, I liked it. But that was a whole nother discussion when we talked about with the Dodgers, how they just didn't even need to throw their number 1 starter. They just went over to their showcase games in Japan. They're that good.
Yeah, well, they said they had a reply for you. They were like, Roki, he is our number 1 starter. And they were like, oh, Yamamoto, he is our number 1 starter. Oh, you wanted Snell? He is our number 1 starter. That's like a
He's our
cyborg.
number 1.
Oh, Glasnow? He is our number 1 starter. You're like, wait, what?
Yep.
They keep saying this.
We have all number 1s. All of them are number 1s. We don't know what to do.
Doesn't matter. It's the true coin toss or throw a dart at a board and say, all right, cool. We'll go with this guy today. All right, coming right back with Deesha to talk Mets, Yanks, and who they played. All right, we'll get to Deesha in a few minutes. Let's shout out the Red Sox. A lot of hype, a lot of movement this offseason. They do come through. And it was Willie Abreu who stole the show. He had a couple dingers for them over a Texas team that's got a lot of hype too. Is Evaldi on the mound? Now they've got Jack Leiter game 2 for Texas. And Boston got to see their first look of Garrett Crochet. Tanner Houck's going in this second game. This could be a nice opening series for them. And this team has been kind of garbage for the last few years. So this should be the turn.
We talked about this earlier. We talked about their acquisitions. We talked about where guys were going to be playing. This is the team not to be messed with this year. They're very good. They have a good supply of fielders. They got a good pitching staff. Depending on what kind of staff they're going to have, we don't know. It's been hit or miss. But they are going to play well. They're going to play really well against good teams. And to see Abreu come up with 2 big home runs, I mean, listen, it's going to take a whole team. But with Bregman over there and Devers, watch out for this Red Sox team, man. They're going to be a team not to be messed with here in the AL East.
Yeah, and Crochet, his line looks good, but he wasn't as dominant as he has been. So wait till he is as dominant. He threw 5 innings and 2 runs, but only 4 punch outs. But it was still a good outing. But you expect more punch outs from him. I love punch outs from these nasty starting pitchers. But Chapman got in the game. He gets a win. And then Slayton comes in and gets a save. So there's other guys besides Chapman that could finish games, which is huge for a bullpen and a team that's, contending for a championship here.
Yeah. And, they shot up the boards in terms of odds for a division title. A lot of people think they're going to be the one on top in the AL East. So let's actually continue on the AL East right now. Thosar joining us right now, Fox Sports MLB reporter and columnist, cover both New York teams with her right now. Deesha, happy day after opening day, second day of the season to you. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, let's start in the AL East while we're there. What did you think of the Yankees opening day performance and the win over the Brewers?
Yeah, happy opening day. Say that the day after teams are still starting up. The Yankees looked good. I think I liked how Aaron Boone put it. He said they have a lot of questions, but they think they have answers too. And we saw a glimpse of that. I know in spring training, we don't like to put a lot of weight on what those guys are doing, but Austin Wells and Volpe really did look good in spring, and that carried over yesterday right off the bat. Leadoff home run for Wells. He does have some star quality to him. That's that intangible quality that I think will put him over the top in this lineup. And we can hopefully see him grow this year and he can avoid sort of that sophomore slump. I would love to see a huge year from Volpe. This is his 3rd year in the big leagues. I wouldn't say he's been a disappointment exactly in the Bronx, but he has fallen short of expectations since the Yankees promoted him to be their franchise shortstop, sort of that big player after Jeter left, retired from the organization. So I think this is going to be a huge year for them. And we liked what we saw yesterday from the Yankees. They can keep that going. Then, of course, Soto exiting the Bronx is an easier pill to swallow if they can keep that up with some of the contributions from young guys.
You talk about it still. You wrote an article about Aaron Judge. It still depends. If the Yankees go, pretty much it's for Aaron Judge goes. And he had a nice double at the end of the game there, struggled a little bit in the beginning. But, again, you saw he kickstarted that inning, got him going. Again, talk a little about that article and what you really mean by that.
Yeah, I think I've seen it since covering Judge, really. It's been, what can he do for this team? They're adding around him. There's been supporting cast. Of course, last year was the best example with Soto. But even when Judge had that slow start last year, Soto was still being Soto. He was producing. But that Yankees team, that lineup really, really looks to Judge as sort of their big star of, if he's not doing anything, how far are we actually going to go? And no matter what year it is, no matter who's on the roster in the lineup, this sort of theme has carried through since Judge has been up in the big leagues. And the second part of this is that it's a little unfair of us, right, to keep asking Judge to keep putting up MVP seasons. But the basis of that is that he just keeps doing it. And it reminds me of the 22 season of when he broke that big home run record. He got 62 home runs. And really, the industry at large was sort of, this is it, right? Judge's had his career year. There's no way he can top that. And then he just continues to do so. Last year was actually an even better year than that 2022 season. So I think the entire Yankees lineup is built right now around Judge having not just a good year, not just an all-star year, but a big monster MVP year to kind of offset some of those other question marks that will arise no matter what from the young guys. So we saw it yesterday, like you just alluded, Todd. Judge got that big double off a little help from the third base bag, and you could hear the sigh of relief from the stadium, not just the dugout. Of course, his teammates were happy for him, get the monkey off your back with the first hit of the season, but even the entire stadium, the crowd sort of exhaled. It was like, okay, good. We can put that drop ball from Judge in the World Series behind us and just start anew here. And I think as long as Judge is at his prime, this is sort of going to be the bar for him. The expectation is to just put up how many MVP seasons can he really collect before hanging those cleats up.
Obviously, the whole lineup is around Judge, and everything with Judge is dictated based on who is hitting in front of him and who's hitting behind him. Can Austin Wells, who will not play 162 games, he's going to most likely play 120 to 135 games, as the leadoff hitter, can that be sustainable? Not in the sense that Austin Wells can't handle it, but in those 40 games where he doesn't start, how are they going to be able to just just fill in for somebody that hits in front of Judge.
Yeah, I think that's where the Yankees have always had good options at leadoff. I think generally reporters were sort of surprised when they named Wells as leadoff because that was not one of the candidates. A typical guy you'd think would be Jazz Chisholm could really be a good table setter for that lineup. Even Volpe a year ago, 2 years ago, he looked like he could be that kind of guy. So I think a lot of the Yankees lineup construction ever since the past few years, since Boone has really been the manager, has just relied on balance. He loves the righty-lefty balance. But more than that, he leaves really a lot of open spots for guys to just compete and take what they can. I think when Wells isn't going to be the starting catcher, there's opportunity for guys to play the hot hand and go from there. I think really throughout the regular season, the Yankees do have the luxury of flipping around their lineup. They're not a team that has to rely on guys playing the same exact role every day. Their goal is really just get to the playoffs, right? And then from there, they can set more of some consistency. I think the first few months, maybe even until the All-Star break, it's just going to be finding out who is going to settle in their roles and who is going to flourish there. And right now we saw Wells take it, but that won't necessarily mean that he'll be that guy for the rest of the season.
Hi, Deesha. Now I get to be on and take my turn. Sorry for that little hiccup. Can we talk about Devin Williams a little bit? He's obviously a great piece to this bullpen. Yesterday there was a little bit of struggle, and there was speculation that possibly tipping pitches. Have you heard anything of that nature, and how good is he going to be in the long run for this team?
No, I know that there was that video, I think, in the playoffs of Devin Williams sort of tipping his pitches to us from that camera looking at it from second base. I think I really enjoyed the Mets' perspective on this. Of course, Pete Alonso, that huge home run he had off Devin Williams, is that from their angle, they did not see at all any tipping pitches. It was really just them looking at this window in front of Devin Williams, focusing on that slot and just trying to swing when they know that that ball's coming in their window. Regardless of what happened last year, I think going into this season, what we saw yesterday from Devin Williams is his former team having a really, really good read on him, right? So I think yesterday was really good to kind of get that behind him, get settled in. But closers are finicky, and I don't expect him to just have a really smooth ride for the rest of the season in a new division, adjusting to a new team. And I like how the Yankees handled his escape artist yesterday. They actually ended up giving him, the Yankees are, a few teams do this, but they give a belt to the winning player of the game. And they actually gave it to Devin Williams. And I asked around of why, and they were really impressed that he was just able to get out of that ninth inning after loading the bases with nobody out against his former team. He really had to bear down there to get out of it. And that showed a lot of grit. So I think the more of those appearances pile up, we'll see more of the Devin Williams that will settle into that closer role. And guess what? If he doesn't, they have a Luke Weaver waiting right behind him who's more than ready to kind of do again what he did last year. So no, I have not heard about tipping pitches. I think from us, from that camera angle, it is easy to think that. But from what I've heard from batters, they don't see that from him.
It has never gotten that bad that Luke Weaver will need to take Devin Williams' job until Devin Williams leaves. So Yankees fans can relax. That's one stable part of. But let's go to the other side of the city. What storyline should we hit on first with the Mets? The fact that Juan Soto did all Juan Soto could do, and Pete Alonso, he's 1 for 2, so he did everything. And Clay Holmes, what should we on Mets Up should we most be pissed off about as Mets fans, or the greatest highlight of a 3-1 loss?
Yeah, I think really it's hard to be more pissed off about the Mets, anything other than their big question mark leading into the season, which is starting pitching. And they really did nothing yesterday to convince me that they shouldn't be concerned about that. And it's going to be kind of a mess for them, I think, to just get to June, because they're relying on reinforcements from Sean Manaea, Frankie Montas, that are not going to happen for at least maybe a month, a few more weeks. But even when those guys return, how successful are they going to be right off the bat of injury? So I think throwing Tyler McGill out there, David Peterson, Griffin Canning, the Kodai Senga, who we really have no idea. The Carlos Mendoza, the manager, seems to have no idea what to expect from Senga. So that is just a little too many question marks in that rotation for this great team that they've built. They have a great offense. This is their best opening day lineup yesterday that they've ever had in franchise history. So I think they really, really still should have done more to supplement that starting pitching. Until then, they just have to hope that the offense can overpower any shortcomings from that rotation. And in that regard, there really wasn't a lot to be pissed off about the lineup. I mean, Soto did almost everything right. And I think in that last at bat against Hader, he showed that he was human. And it was very un-Soto-like to swing at that slider from Hader. I think it really just showed me that he really wanted to have a huge, huge, huge moment in his first game as a Met, his big career, 15 more years in Queens. I think that got to him a little more than the good discipline and the plate approach we saw from Soto the entire game, frankly. So I think fans still continue to be pissed off about the starting pitching. I think more noise about that issue is not going to hurt.
I understand David Stern saying that he doesn't want to commit massive long-term dollars to starters. I understand it. I don't necessarily agree to it, but I understand it. And I was proven wrong last year when that rotation was awesome. And many of those guys either had breakout or bounce back performances. But when you look at last year's rotation, Deesha, and you look at this year's rotation, there are a lot of similarities in that you look on paper and you go, I could see one of those guys breaking out. Just last year felt a little bit outlier to me. And I don't want to go too far because it's only one game. But do you feel like they're banking too much on breakouts and the pitching machine that they have, as in the pitching lab and Jeremy Hefner and some of the other people behind the scenes that are able to help some guys now resurrect careers, plus a little bit more of a pitcher's park than some others? Do you feel like they're adding all of that up, plus Stearns taking a page out of what he did in Milwaukee with usually a rotation that found guys at the back end that would come out of the blue? Do you feel like all of that is adding up and could lead to a disaster for them if you do have the situation like we have when we started out here with Manaea down, Montas down, Holmes obviously transitioning for the first time to a starter and probably going to have issues in the second half of the season? That's usually what happens when guys suddenly transition to a role like this. Reynaldo Lopez was really good for almost the entire year, but he did start to tire late.
Yeah, I think you kind of touched on all of the thoughts I think that have to surround this starting pitching. Is that it's twofold, right? The formula worked for them last year. So David Stearns can kind of listen to us and laugh and just point to the track record that he's had with the Brewers and up to last year and say that it'll work out. And on the other end of it, I do think that starting pitching has to be strong for this team that they've built. If this was just a reset year like it was last year for the Mets, as it was advertised, where they got off to that really, really horrendous start up until May and then into June almost, then you can kind of take the starting pitching for what it was, hope for the best. That's not what this year is. There's just too much riding on it, even Soto aside. This is a season of Pete Alonso that they are for sure getting and paying $30 million for. So I think just with all, and of course, Francisco Lindor in his prime, Brandon Nimmo, these are windows that are currently open that the Mets have to capitalize on. So in that sense, I think the larger picture, they had to have a better starting rotation. At the same time, that being said, right, we can see in these next month, at least for the first month, to see how it goes, see what they have in the inventory, see how well David Peterson in particular is pitching. He pitched really well in spring, so he could potentially carry that rotation for now. And then, of course, right, look at the trade deadline and see what moves they can make there, assess the situation. So this is David Stern's MO. Like you said, I really didn't expect him to draw a huge departure from the way he's always operated things. And I think David Stearns feels more confident in the way that he has gone about it, knowing that he has Steve Cohen and his big wallet in case anything happens and they need to do anything, a bigger signing next offseason. Of course, at this point, it's too late for that. So I think they have a few balls in the air that prove that they worked last year. Personally, I'm with you, Scott, in that I think last year was lightning in a bottle. I view it the same way as Jose Iglesias' year. I'm with the Mets that they did not re-sign Mr. Oh My God back into Queens. I think that was just perfect the way that it happened last year, and some things have to kind of stay that way. And that's how I view even a guy like Sean Manaea, who they're kind of depending on to be an ace if Senga doesn't come through. His projections are all 4+ ERA this year. Of course, you can always beat projections and prove those wrong, but I think really what we saw from the rotation was a one-hit wonder in that sense. And if they want to prove me wrong, prove you wrong, I'm all for it. And we can laugh again at our own analyses and really even double down on David Stearns and his formula. But right now it looks like they definitely need more reinforcements in that rotation.
I'm with you. All right, so let's our guys were freaking out trying to figure out who is behind you on the wall. Is it you had the best guess?
I said Bryce Harper, but then
I thought you said Rafael Nadal.
I did. It looked like Bryce in the top right there, but then I'm going with Rafael Nadal.
Yep, you had it. It's Rafa. He's my all-time favorite.
There you go.
Yep.
But doesn't it look like Harper with the headband on in the back real quick?
It's got a similar vibe, right?
Yeah. It's got a similar. But Rafa's
he's the GOAT.
Yeah, there you go. Love it. Well, thank you for joining us. Enjoy the first weekend of games, and we'll catch you again soon, okay?
Of course. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Appreciate it. Deesha Thosar with us. Give her a follow at first and last name on Twitter. Be right back. Back for more locks. Danny, stay hot. How do you go 2-0?
Okay, so I guess I got called out by Steve earlier. Said that the Orioles don't swing the bat well against Barrios, but I'm telling you, the numbers said that he did, and I'm going to stick with it.
He's a numbers guy.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with what the numbers say for Luis Castillo against the A's. I'm going to take strikeouts at 6.5. I'm going to take the over because 69 at bats that these current A's have off Luis Castillo. He's got 24 punch outs. So my math isn't very good, but I feel like he can get 6.5 punch outs over.
Okay.
I love
Can't
that.
get 6.5, but he'll get at least
Right.
7.
Over.
Yep.
That leads in right into my play, and I think the Mariners are going to take over today. They're going to win by 1.5. It's at plus 165. This is juicy. It's spicy. I don't know why it's that high, but I'm gonna test the waters and take it for another 2 to win 330.
I think early on here, there's caution about the A's maybe being good. I mean, they were in control for a lot of the game yesterday, but I see where you're going. I'll go with the parlay. We already got Kratz and Pap covered. Dylan C over strikeouts for me. I've got him landing at least 6 of them. The problem was I would have just gone with that on my own. By the time I picked it, it was getting juiced. Minus 155, but I still love it. So I'm going to pair that with the Red Sox and the Rangers scoring some runs this evening. I've got over 5.5 runs there. So when you add that up, we're close to even money. So I'm going to throw down, it's the weekend, and I got to catch up 309 to win 300 because it's minus 103.
Dude, you're going to 300.
It's a different me this year. Okay.
Whoa.
I've been saving up, Kratz. It's a different me.
Wow. You're such a mature investor. Invest in yourself.
Yeah, I believe in myself. That's a say it with your chest weekend lock tonight. Dylan Cease is a man on a mission. He was in trade rumors. He's a strikeout artist. I think he's going to look great and be firing with a little extra heat on opening day. Plus, I think the Red Sox and the Rangers have 2 really good offenses that are going to light it up a little bit more tonight. Step into the batter's box with BetMGM. For opening weekend, you can snag an odds boost token and do not miss your chance at a bigger payout on your MLB bet. If you want more information, obviously hit up the BetMGM app or go to BetMGM.com and log in. Gambling problem or concern? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Be right back. All right, let's sizzle. Tarik Skubal won a Cy Young Award last year, and this reminds me of what quarterbacks do for their offensive linemen.
Yes.
you don't see this all the time, or maybe it just doesn't get publicized. Great job by the ESPN broadcast yesterday telling the story of Tarik Skubal gifting Jake Roberts a custom Rolex with the engraved stats from his Cy Young season. How cool is that?
That is
with
so
the wins,
cool.
the ERA, the Ks, and a little thanks on the bottom there. Thanks, Raj. Jake Rogers is kind of the unsung hero in a spot like this.
Yes, and he's quiet and he speaks well, but you don't really hear about him. He's a really good hitter too, if you want the truth. This guy, I mean, coming into the league now, being the catcher, getting this Rolex, I think this is so cool. The way they engraved it, it says "Thanks, Raj" at the bottom. Really cool for him and for Tarik to do this. I find that awesome too, and to publicize this, because a lot of people don't usually publicize these kind of things. This is really cool, and if I'm a catcher, I'm like, man, I need to get my pictures from Cy Young so I can get some good stuff.
Yeah,
cool.
Fans love this stuff, Kratz, and we caught it on the broadcast last night, and we posted on it on our Twitter, and it got a lot of love. It's cool.
It's super cool. And dudes do this. Dudes do this more often, to the point where, like, when they do cool stuff like Cy Youngs, it's almost kind of expected, or like no hitters. It's definitely, like, I've seen Kyle Higashioka, he's always catching no hitters, and he's just got watches on watches on watches. Looking like a rap video. But honestly, like, I like the stories. I like the stories where dudes caught like no hitters and Cy Young years, and the pitcher didn't get him anything. Like, those are the ones where I'm like, seriously? You did that and he didn't hook you up with nothing? So this is good. Skubal's pro.
Yeah, he's pro in every way.
Yeah, and I love how they told the story of how it happened. I guess AJ Hinch asked him if he wanted to present it in front of the whole team, and he said, no, it's just between me and Raj. And that was really cool because it was like an organic, sentimental moment for those two. And by the way, he's got the sweetest stash in baseball.
Yeah, he does.
Raj, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But also, Kratz, he's like, I love the rest of my teammates, but they're not as important as Jake Rogers. So I'm just going to keep this between me and him.
Walk down the hallway here. Take this. Thanks. Let's go. We got a game to win today.
Yeah, let's do it again. Let's run it back. All right, one more on the style section. The Royals alternative helmet, Kratz, that would even make your dome look fresh.
I mean, I tweeted about Julio Rodriguez's Adidas cleats. Like, if I wore them, I would at least look fast. A lot of people on Twitter said, no, it still wouldn't have helped. This helmet, my head would still look huge. I can't be having two-tone on my head. But the helmet looks awesome. I absolutely love what they did here. They went kind of outside the box, and yet people in KC know this logo, know that, like, that blue and white, ooh, it is fresh.
Just chromed out a little bit.
Yeah.
Right?
Matted.
Yeah.
Matte blue. Very nice.
What's the word that they use these days for, like, it looks really cool? Like,
ask Kratz. He's
drip.
Yeah.
So were there hats? Swag. Yeah. What were the hats the same way as the helmets? You guys know?
Yes, they
don't know.
Well, they made a white and a blue one. I don't know if they're wearing them with those baby blues, those powder blue unis. I think it's like the two-tone hat, but you can't have a white hat. That John gets dirty one time and never getting clean. You got to get a new one. Only big leaguers get the new ones.
That's right.
Sweet. Those are sweet.
But good style check there. All right, we'll have a little extra time for Slap, so we'll go over some weekend matchups for real games. All right, here we are, back for a few minutes. Can get to another question or two before we get out of here. Some people asking how they think the rest of the Angels-White Sox series is going to play out. I mean, for the White Sox, it's all gravy after you picked up the first dub in this series. For the Angels, like you mentioned, they actually did a lot this offseason. So the expectations are higher for this team, even if you don't think they're going to be good. And they're going to feel it if they lose an opening series to the White Sox.
That's not
I know it's 3 games, but it matters, right? right? Those are the games also you always look back at and say, really?
You got a healthy Mike Trout.
Yeah.
Soler. I mean,
they added.
They added, and they got guys that can play here a little bit. It's just a matter of when they're going to come to play. And, you would think they're going to win 2 out of 3 here, at least, to have a nice 3-game start. But their focus is to just play for each other and not worry about any outside noise. Ron Washington knows what he's doing. Don't worry about anything else. Ohtani's not there anymore. We understand that. That's been gone. And, there's always been scrutiny about the Angels, about not picking people up. They did. Were the sexiest picks, as you guys say? Probably not, but they got guys that are professional baseball players, and they got to come to play today.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think at the end of the day, too, and maybe this is just thinking too far ahead, I think we all can agree that they're not going to get to the playoffs, but they have pieces that they can trade when the time comes and try to make their team better in the future. Kenley Jansen is one guy. We know Soler is always going back to the Braves. So, I mean, there's another piece that they can get for him. So, yes, they want to compete, but I think it's also part of rebuilding to see where they are. They bring in the kid Ryan Johnson, who hadn't had a pitch in the minor leagues, and they want to see what he can do. This is the time to see who you are, So I'm not really worried about the Angels, but I think they are in dire need of rebuilding.
They're probably the team in game 2 that needs to pick up a dub.
Yeah,
more than anyone else, just based on who you're facing. No one wants to start their season 0-2 against the White Sox. No, it is what it is. That was the worst team ever last year,
and they'll probably be the worst team this year too.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Come on, Trout, pick it up.
That's right. 30 seconds. We'll come back. We'll go over matchups for tonight. All right, let's slap. We're going to go over matchups for tonight. But first, I actually really want to know, what is Kratz wearing today? What do you got for us?
Take a guess before I spin it around.
Pirates.
Well, I think that might be too easy.
Yeah.
What
about Brewers, where it's got the yellow and
I'm going Padres, yellow and brown, maybe.
Arizona. It can't be the Pirates. Oh, I think you're right.
Nice. Very nice.
It is so clean. If I had some yellow Jordans, I would rock these Jones with this hat. Woo, it's a clean hat.
I'll tell you what, 4 Kratzes on that picture, that's scary.
Yeah, that's a lot of Kratz.
Oh.
That's a minimal hair.
All right, let's go over matchups. Anything stand out for this evening? So I think for the Rangers, I mentioned how Tanner Houck's pitching on the Red Sox side. We got Jack Leiter cracking the opening day rotation. Lamar Rocker's rotation as well.
Pick it up.
Yeah, it hasn't been a smooth ride to this path. At one point, he was, if not the best, second best, whatever, pitcher in college baseball. Everyone's like, oh, this guy's going to be fast to the bigs. It's taken some time. So we'll see if, he did things in the offseason and in spring training that'll lead to more success here.
This is a big year for him. Big year, Kratzy. Sorry, let's see what he's touted to be. He's a very good ball player. Let's see what the adjustments he made. I know Big Al's going to probably be there supporting him. Go out there and just be who you are. Find the zone, throw strikes. You're not going to overpower these guys. You got to find a way to manipulate the zone on them and focus on what you can control and let your catcher call a really good game.
If we can get an explanation of why the Rays and Rockies didn't play on opening day. Today's their opening day!
Yay.
Something must have been going on at George Steinbrenner Field. I don't who knows what.
They had a birthday party. They couldn't have the game because they didn't think anybody was going to be playing there because it's a minor league park.
True.
It is very true. We're going to see the first game of the year here at a minor league park. Ryan Pepio pitching for the Rays against Kyle Freeland. Weird, but packed. It'll be sold out. They're going to do really well on attendance. Their percentage of ballpark filled is going to be maybe highest in baseball because they've been waiting to go to games and not sit through an extra hour of traffic across the causeway. It's true.
Yeah. Very true. So easy to get to that place.
It's a game changer for me too. AJ and me, we did not get to a Rays game last year because we always would look. The show ends. We want to get there a little early, and we're like, by the time we leave, we're not going to get there until after first pitch. So this year, it's going to happen, especially
but they're
to
going to
witness some history.
But the fans are going to be sweating like Melky compared to drug tests. Like, it's going to be so hot. They're just going to be dripping. Like, it's going to suck.
Kratz is on fire today. You're right. You're right. Not yet, though. It's actually gorgeous right now. It's like a good 80. In July, get back to me and we'll go over things. All right, a couple others that stand out before we go. Jeffrey Springs is making his A's debut in that matchup against the Mariners. And then the night, Flaherty against Yamamoto, Tigers-Dodgers, round 2.
Oh, love it.
Sign me up. Yeah,
Sign
that's
'em
really
up.
good. All right, so we had an awesome few days here. Bittersweet, but we'll be back. We'll be back in
Always.
Cincinnati for some warmer weather too. So this was awesome. Great few days. Thank you so much to Nation Kitchen and Bar for hosting us for the last few days. Obviously, swing by here. Great lunch spot. Great spot before the Reds game too. So please do that, and we'll let you know next time we're coming back here. But opening day was great. It is the best opening day in baseball. Confirmed. I know you guys already knew that, but this was really fun. So Kratz, maybe we'll invite you next time, but otherwise, you're great. Virtually, you're great.
Virtually.
Yeah. You were really funny today. Genuinely, I laughed 3 or 4 times without faking it.
Well, thank you.
And we can't guess your hat if
that'll
you're here in
carry me
person.
through.
Yeah, we got you. Anyway, back to the 1 o'clock the rest of the way, okay? I know some of you on the West Coast are very, very happy about that, so the show's not 8 a.m. for you anymore. Yes, 1 o'clock Eastern time, the rest of the way. We're back as our usual schedule on Monday. We'll actually make a pretty cool announcement early next week, too, about something involving live games. There's your little hint, okay? Have a great weekend, everyone. Enjoy a full slate of weekend game. Danny boy, always great to have you. Appreciate you. Safe travels back to the crew.